Hi to the Professor Matthew and my fellow classmate Jeff here with week 5 video. I finally was able to tweak my system. I was having a hard time recording using the new system, but finally I was able to figure out. This presentation is about enthusiasm when striving to get over the wall. I discussed the element and emotion about my divorce wall. I'll discuss the stages I went through and how it affected me professionally and personally. I will start with cup of enthusiasm. Though hard and nearly impossible, when facing dark moment, we have to wake up and drink from the cup of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm gives us the drive to wake up and face the demons, despite all the voices saying no, no. Enthusiasm is about what is after the war, will make us go out and not lament, really looking and being excited of what is after the war, because we know every challenge when it comes, it does come with aftermath. It could be a blessing, could be exciting, unknown, that unknown that is behind the war, that is really what was striving. My divorce war, it was quite painful despite the investment of over the years. I went through several stages because it was my first time hitting a serious war. I went through denial and sort of crisis while going through the process. I finally was able to accept and saw the need for moving on for better for the parties. And in this situation is where you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're dreaming, or it's not the reality, and you keep struggling. Is it real? And then finally you have to come to a place where you really have to acknowledge this is the real thing and this is the real deal, and though it's uncharted waters, you have to compose yourself and gather yourself and know that you don't have a choice. You have to move on. Effects personally. This kind of a war is quite painful, putting one at a loss, looking back of things you have done and the time invested. I became quite anxious about how it will end. Will everything end up well? Those are the questions keep lingering in your mind back and forth. I questioned myself every day, every moment. I would be questioning this or that aspect of my life before and after the war, and that's where the thoughts go through your mind. What could have been done? Would have things been done better or differently? How things would have turned out? Those are the few questions that will keep lingering in your mind back and forth. But again, like I say, you can't just dwell there and just keep asking and wishing and hoping and assuming. You're gonna have to do something, and that's where you have to make those decisions. Effects on my professional. The war had an effect on my work as I had to readjust my time schedule. When my enthusiasm was really low or down, I would also easily be irritable with colleague or client. And this is, when it comes to time where you're used to sharing, two people sharing the schedule of this and that, then it comes to one person, and of course with the movement of the kids back and forth, things change. And also this now, unless you guard your spirit and your mind when you go out there to meet the client or the colleagues, you have really to be careful, because if you're caught up in that moment of anxiety and depression and this and that, it could have effect of the way you react to people, the way you relate to people. So you really have to work hard to balance that way it doesn't affect. Although some of the time people will be caught in the cross of the emotions and the thought. Effects spiritually. I kept questioning God. Why allow this to happen to me? How will it be judged? I worried about the kids, and why would God allow them to go through all this? These are, again, when it comes to spiritual part of it, you look your inner being in your relationship with God and the Word of God, and you kind of try to dig deep and could I have done things different? Did I do something wrong, or why me, why now? But again, if you dig in deep within from your soul and your experience in the Word of God, of even the men of God in the Bible, I know, like Job and things they went through, it kind of give you a consolation and assurance that it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. Sometimes things happen, and God does. Uh, minister to us through this challenging and tough times. So the experience of the past in the Word of God is quite encouraging when you refer to the Word of God and see things that have gone other people, or even people in the society or family or friends that have gone through that. Enthusiasm brings down the wall. I let God to fill my cup with enthusiasm. By being enthusiastic, I was able to count my blessing and focus on the bright future despite the war. And that's where you start counting your blessing and see what God has done. And it could have been worse. There are people even going worse stuff than yourself. So that's kind of reflection, and that kind of keep your spirit up, knowing that God is in control. For he says in even his word that all things work for good for those who love him. So those are the things that you have to keep maintaining the fear. Filling up the cup with enthusiasm and drinking from it despite the dark crown pushes you through those long days. That's where you dig deep within from the experience of the past, from the experience of the word of God, and how the assurance in his word and believing in him, and that is what keep you moving on a daily basis. Technically, that is what was my war, and it was not easy. And though even sometimes we feel like we are prepared, and though we have seen it with others in the family, in the society, people we know, or even in the media, whatever we read, but until it hits you, that's where the rubber hit the road, like they say here in America. So and you can never be prepared. It's life-changing. The wars we face in life sometimes, even though you have seen others do it, when it hit to you, that's when it really hit home. Thank you so much, and I'm so grateful for this class and course and what we are learning. Thank you so much.